What is up, guys? I'm Kyle at Fortune Off-Road. Today we're doing a walk around of the Suburban. We're talking about some future plans, so stick around to check it out. So my very first video on this channel was a walk around and kind of a dry run, a test run, shakedown run, whatever you want to call it, for the Suburban. We took it up Signal Peak and actually recorded the video at the top of the peak. The wind was blowing. I left the engine running. I was just winging it. No idea what I was going to say doing the walk around. And of course, I totally forgot a bunch of stuff, like the key stuff of that truck that everybody wanted to know. So I get asked a ton of questions about it, and a lot of people are interested in the solid axle swap. So really, I just wanted to make a new video. It's been about a year now, and answer those questions hopefully, and kind of just do a new walk around. Hopefully this one will replace that other one that I made. So first I'm gonna give her a little wash because we just took her out a couple weeks ago off-roading and she's all dirty and stuff. So after that, we'll start the walk around. So here it is, guys. This is the 1997 GMC Suburban 1500. So this truck started out as a four-wheel drive half-ton with independent front suspension, and then of course we couldn't leave it alone. We had to do a solid axle swap in the front, and it's got about 7 inches all around. Let's go through everything and tell you what she's got in her. Under the hood, we've got the stock 350. This one is the later model, so it's the Vortec, which is awesome. Really great engine. This thing is pretty much stock. We haven't really needed to do anything with it. When we first got this truck, because it came from somebody who bought it from an auction, we just decided to go through everything. It had about 115,000 miles on it, and that really wasn't a lot even for this engine. So we decided to just go through everything and gave it a huge tune-up, and this thing has been flawless since we've had it. The only real upgrades we've made under the hood are the Optima batteries. We've got 2, and these 2 batteries are awesome to have. We've got them connected using this battery isolator right here, and this battery on the passenger side is the primary battery, so everything runs off of this. We're using both the side and the top terminals, and that makes it just a much cleaner, less cluttered look, and it's a lot easier to add and remove stuff. So the battery isolator is key. We use this one for everything. This is the primary battery. If we end up winching, or say we run out our battery somehow, maybe we left a light on overnight while we were camping, whatever it is, we can hit that battery isolator, which runs off of our auxiliary battery. We can jump ourselves, or if we're winching, we can just sync the batteries up and get all that power to the winch and not have to worry about burning up those batteries and draining them too fast. That 350 under the hood goes down to a stock 4L60E automatic transmission. It's awesome because this one is the successor to the 700 R4, which is a nice transmission as well. But in a big truck like this, people ask why we didn't go with the 4L80, because that's the 2500 version. And the real reason is because it just costs too much to do that conversion. And then actually the 4L60E has a much better first gear, so we have that lower crawl ratio. And people that have made that swap to the 4L80 say they miss having that first gear because they don't have a doubler and they don't have reduced gears in their transfer case. Speaking of transfer case, ours goes into a NP 241C, which is a Chevy 241. This one actually came with a 243C, which is the electronic shift, but we have a front drive shaft that is running all 1410s, and that size yoke can't fit on the 243C because they have the electronic shift control on there. So we ended up just scrapping that, and now it's got the 241C floor shifter, which has been flawless for us. Out of the 241, we are going down with a stock drive shaft, and that goes into the rear 14 bolt. We had to use a 447 U-joint in there, which converts it from the stock drive shaft to the 14 bolt. Everybody wants this for their rear axle because they're cheap and super strong. Tons of parts out there for them. In here, we're running 488s Detroit locker, and that's pretty much it. Stock shafts, and this thing's a beast. I'm never worried about this thing at all. Rear shocks are Bilstein monotubes. I believe they are the 5165s. I'd have to double check that. Rear suspension is off-road design. This is a shackle flip in the back that gives about 4 inches, I believe. It's got the stock shackle, and the interesting thing is it's got the stock rear leaf springs too, so nice ride and very good flex. Of course, we got the U-bolt flip kit, all the heavy duty U-bolt stuff from WFO diff cover. And then the way we get the rest of the lift, this spring hanger drop gets us about 3 more inches, so total in the rear we're running 7 inches. Up front we've got a 1991 Ford Kingpin Dana 60. This is out of a F350, and this is the one that most people want. On this axle we're running stock, pretty much everything as far as shafts, knuckles, hubs, all that go. But on the differential, we've got 488 gears, we've got a Detroit locker, and then to help with the steering up here, we have WFO crossover steering. These are the springless caps, so last way longer, easier to adjust. And it's only crossover, so only the drag link is up there connecting the steering box to the steering arm, because we do have hydraulic assist going on the tie rod. That way it's lined up and it's protected. It's running parallel, so we don't have to worry about any weird steering configurations with it. It just works great. That's all off of a Redneck Ram tapped box. And this tie rod is 1/4 inch wall running the offset 1-ton trays. The 1-ton tie rod ends from Rough Stuff as well. And then the drag link is 1/4 inch running the traditional 1-ton Chevy tie rod ends. Suspension in the front is 3-inch Tough Country springs. These are 47 inches long. They are from the front of 80s Chevy pickups, like a Blazer or something like that too. And then that's paired up with the off-road design SAS brackets. These are the 36.5 spring perch width, meaning the axle perches are at 36.5 inches apart. So that's the kit we had to go with. And everything up here is the heavy duty version. I didn't skip out on anything. These are all grade 8 bolts. We've got the heavy duty hardware on both sides. The Detroit locker 488s inside the diff. We got the WFO diff cover. Because this truck is so heavy, we didn't want to skip on the shocks, so we went with the Bilstein 5165s. These ones have the reservoir here, so you know, when this thing's getting hot and not wanting to do the dampening anymore, now it's got that external reservoir, so can keep up with it. The bumper up front is a Logan's metal bumper. This one holds a winch. We've got an Ango 12,000 pound in there, little 12-inch light bar, roller fair lead, steel cable, and then this part's cool. This just comes off of the fair lead when you need to use the winch, and you know, it's got the little cable on there, so you can just toss it in the bucket while you're out wheeling. And then to stay street legal, we just throw it back on there. For additional lighting, we've got these Co-Light LED floodlights on APOC ditch brackets, and these are really awesome. These totally light up the sides when we're out wheeling around. We've got the CB hood bracket right here, right next to our stereo one. Armor on the sides, 2x6 rectangular tubing, and then we've got this DOM down here that is 1/8 inch wall. I think this was 1.5 inches with some 3/16 steel gussets that are just tied in down there, and all of this is tied in to the frame. It's all welded in, a bunch of supports down there, and we've actually yet to hit this on like a significant bump. Like really, we just kind of brush stuff with it, or just kind of sits on a rock or something, because this Suburban, even though it is so long, it actually has a lot of ground clearance at the bottom because the belly is pretty much flat down there. There's nothing hanging down that can get caught on anything. The rear bumper is a Logan's metal. Also, this one has the cutouts for some 2x2 lights in there. We've got those hooked up on a switch panel as well. License plate lighting and all that goes through there. Got the hitch that is stock for the Suburban, and it has a 7,000 tow capacity. The gas tank is also stock. This one's actually slid on a few rocks, as you can see, and the cover is dented it a little bit. Haven't noticed a reduction in the fuel capacity or anything like that. It does, I believe it's a 43-gallon tank. All I know is it's at least 40. We have a huge range in this truck. The mileage when it was stock, I used to get 20 very easily. Since it's lifted and heavier, bigger tires and more drag and all that, now it gets about 16, I believe. But even when we do like a trail run, this thing still does really well. It usually ends up getting like 14 miles per gallon, including the drive there and the drive home and all that. So for a truck this size, it does really well. I think it beats a lot of the Jeeps out there on the fuel economy too. The tires are 37 by 1250 on a 17 by 8-inch wide steel wheel, and these are just the typical soft 8 wheels. Back spacing is 4 inches, so it's just dead center. These tires have about 5,000 miles on them, and honestly they look brand new. This one is a little dirty because we've been wheeling the truck still, but I'd say the tire tread life is probably at 90%, maybe even 95. We actually have a set of 5 of these, and because we don't put a lot of miles on this thing, we've only done 1 rotation because I think we're under even 6,000 miles on this whole build. So the tires are in great shape, no big scrapes, no lugs missing, anything like that. They're in really good condition, and we actually have a 5th that rotates into them, which is this one. So this one was just put on recently, so you can see the difference between that one and this one is negligible. I mean, they're pretty much brand new. The hardware and everything's pretty standard, but we do have a locking lug nut on each one, just so we don't have to worry about stupid stuff, you know, people trying to steal our tires when we're sleeping in a hotel or something when we're traveling. And we've just got that hanging out in the glove box. On the inside, it's pretty typical for a truck of this year. These because this is a SLT trim, it has leather in the interior, but you know, it's showing its age. This truck is from 1997, so a lot of it's in good shape, but like that driver one is a little bit torn up, so that's something I never really got around to replacing. But on the inside here, all of our electronics are controlled by this switch panel down here, and this has 8 switches. You can see I'm using 4 of them for lights. It's got the bumper bar. I was planning on putting a roof light on here pretty soon. That's not on there yet. We've got our ditch brackets right here. These are the rear lights on the bumper, and then I was getting ready to put some rock lights underneath it. So even on top of that, we still have 3 more buttons, and the control module for that sits right here in the glove box. These are all the wiring, so this is really up and out of the way, and we don't have to worry about water getting in this for it being under the hood and all of that. We've got the sheet with all the stickers to add more buttons on there. That's in here too, so you can customize that and peel these ones off or whatever you want to do. So we've got the Cobra Cb. This is the 29 LTD Classic, great CB. A lot of people are switching to hams nowadays, but it's always nice to have this, especially if other people don't have the ham radio set up. There's a look at the NP241 floor shifter. You know, all their other trucks had a body style like this, so that thing kind of just bolted up there. This fire extinguisher isn't bolted down, it's just sitting there right now. And then we've got the Pioneer CD player. This is Bluetooth and all that. This red switch right here is the battery isolator. If I click this on, I don't know if you can hear that, but it just clicked over, and now the batteries are tied up. So, you know, if one was dead, you could tie them up and have some help starting. And that's pretty much it in here. Everything is, you know, pretty much standard for this type of truck, and got all the overhead compartments, and you know, all this stuff works. Plenty of room in the back. We've got, I forget what they call this, it's like a 2 versus 1 thing where like this seat can fold down on its own, or those 2 can fold down. We usually fold those 2 down, and then we can stack a bunch of gear there, you know, like an ice chest and all of that, and then we usually have our kid sitting in this car seat right here, but nothing too fancy back here. Behind here, we've got some boards for the sleeping platform. The boards cover up the drawers, so it covers this entire area with a flat piece of wood when these seats are folded down. And if you want to check that out, I'll put a video in here so you can see how that works. But it basically fills up the entire back of the Suburban with a sleeping platform. This is, I think it's a 4-inch thick pad. This makes sleeping out in the wilderness very, very comfy. Sleeping in a truck and on a mattress like that with real sheets and, you know, a fitted sheet and pillows and blanket and all that, dude, it's awesome. We love it. I look forward to going to bed in this thing every time. All right, so here's a look at the back. can see most of it is just this plywood box I've got back here, and see the width is just slightly narrower than the mattress, but the mattress is memory foam, so you can squeeze it over and then it'll lay flat, and it kind of just curves around those cup holders, which is nice. So you can put your phone, your watch, and your wallet, and your car keys, and all that stuff in there when you're sleeping, because you can see right there the mattress just kind of lays flush with this and makes this a really nice place to sleep. The guard on the back here for the tailgate is removed because we have this drawer system in the back now. Yeah, we've got two of these drawers. Here's one with got a spill kit right here, and these are some tools for the Suburban. So ton of room. I think this is 8 feet long, so really you're running 21 inches wide, 7 inches tall, 8 feet long. So ton of storage space. I forget how tall this thing is. It's maybe a foot or so, but ton of room in here. And this whole thing isn't bolted down right now, so you could just take this out if you needed to put the rear seat back there, like that third row, and we have the third row. That one's in the best condition because it's just been sitting in my garage the whole time, and I think even the previous owner didn't use that. So that's pretty much it. This thing has just been a monster off-road. Haven't really had any mechanical problems with it at all until recently. I just recently went to go drive it to work the other day. It's fun to take it down there on Fridays, and you know, everybody kind of just stares at you when you take this truck because it's so big. It's kind of hard to show that on camera, but you know, compared to my Samurai right there, yeah, this thing's a monster. And it's unusual to see a Suburban kind of modified like this to, you know, do some overlanding and some rock crawling. So people are always a little bit shocked by that, but then when they take a closer look and they see that it's got the solid 1-ton front axle underneath, they are very intrigued and they want to know everything about it. So that part's fun. You get to talk to a lot of people about the truck. But anyways, the transmission was slipping the other day when I went to work, and it, you know, I had kind of felt that coming on, and then on the way to work, I was a few miles from my house, the transmission was slipping really bad, so I just brought it back and parked it, and that's where we're at right now. It does have a few things that it needs. One is the transmission. The transmission needs to be rebuilt or replaced, and you know, I really don't think it's that much. These transmissions are fairly cheap. I mean, they're not that expensive, and the rebuild isn't out of control either. These transmissions are super common. Everybody's got one laying around. It's the 4L60E. The other thing we have going on is we do have a little bit of an oil leak under here. The front of the engine leaks a little bit of oil. That gets on, you know, some of the front suspension and the cross member under there, and you know, it gets dirt on it, and so you know, it does make it a little bit messy under there, but it's nothing too bad. Every time I change the oil, I just wipe it off, and you know, the oil changes are fine. It doesn't burn any oil. It just does leak a little bit. Lastly, we've got the air conditioning. The air conditioning doesn't work, which kind of makes it a pain in the butt out here in California. It does get pretty hot, but we just roll all 4 of the windows down and we just cruise like it's an old Jeep or something, and you know, kind of adds to the experience. But yes, would like to get the air conditioning fixed. The issue with the Suburban though is that it has 2 of everything because it's so big. So it's got coolant lines that go back to a heater core back there, and you know, it's basically double of everything. So I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know if it just has a leak, it needs to be charged, or you know, some pipes need to be replaced, whatever. It needs a new compressor. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it because I haven't cared. But other than that, everything works very well. And you know, I don't know what we're going to do with this. I don't know if I'm going to try to sell it and maybe give somebody else a good deal. I'm definitely not trying to make any money off it. It's just we have our new project over here, which is the Colorado, and I need that Colorado to tow the Samurai, and then we want to convert this into our Overlander, and then this thing's kind of like right in the middle. It's like half rock crawler, half Overlander, whereas this thing is all rock crawler, and this thing's probably going to be all Overlander. So this one's in the middle, and we just haven't been driving it a lot. So I'm thinking, you know, now that it has some transmission issues, maybe I can give somebody a good deal. And if they have an extra transmission or they want to put the money for the new transmission into it, I could give them a good deal. And, you know, we all come out of it as a win. And it'd be just great to see somebody else wheeling this, you know, especially if they were from this area. I'd love to go wheeling with them and, you know, wheel side by side with the Samurai like we've always talked about doing. So that is it for this video, guys. It is one of those things. I knew eventually I'd sell the Suburban. I figured I would, or it would evolve into like some huge rock buggy with no doors and it's all crushed or something. I knew it wasn't going to stay like this forever. Or I knew I at least wasn't going to keep it forever. But we're kind of at a crossroads right now. I'm not really sure which way we're going to go with it. If somebody is interested in it, hey man, let's sell it. And if nobody's interested in the truck, then I'm just going to fix a transmission myself. I'll throw a monster kit in there and get that thing beefed up, and we'll just keep wheeling it. Maybe it will turn into some huge monster on 43-inch stickies. Who knows? But I have so many ideas of things I want to do, different trucks I want to build. And, the list never ends. Of course, the budget is always the thing holding me back. My budget's constantly maxed out. My off-road bank account is, very tight all of the time. The patience with the wife is probably maxed out a lot of the time too. So don't know where we're going to go from here. But hopefully that answered any questions you guys might have about the Suburban. And, feel free to put something in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. And if you have any questions, if I missed something again, which I probably did, I'll answer it this time again. But thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.